For years, I was working with a population of young people who were constantly getting new viruses, new novel viruses, and I would take that home and I would get sick, and inevitably it turned into a secondary infection in my sinuses. I'd have to go and sit in the waiting room of the doctor's office or the urgent care office and wait to get prescribed the same antibiotic all the time. Folks, it's 2022. Telehealth is now a thing. You do not have to do things the old school way. And maybe as a prepper, you just want to have some antibiotics on hand for emergencies. I'm going to show you how to handle that problem right now. All right, folks, welcome back to Prepping with Sarge. If you're new to the channel, we talk about all things preparedness, so a little bit of wilderness survival, some gardening and foraging for food self-sufficiency. We even talk a little bit about financial preparedness on the channel. Welcome. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. If you're returning, thank you again. Please consider hitting that thumbs up. All right, so what are we talking about today? We are talking about my friends at Jase Medical. So I am now an affiliate with Jase Medical. I will drop a link in the description. You can check that out. So if you're a prepper, one of the things you might have thought about is, what am I going to do about antibiotics if the grid is down? Or it doesn't even have to be like a full grid down. During the pandemic, many people had difficulty getting a doctor's appointment, yours truly included. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of, if you know what you take for like a sinus infection because it's been prescribed to you like 6 times in the past 3 years or whatever, and it's always the same prescription. I'm kind of tired of waiting in the waiting room of some doctor's office, being surrounded by people who are sick with other viruses, maximizing my exposure when my immunities are already down, and ending up with something that's going to make me sick for 3 weeks. Let's not do things that way anymore. All right, so the first thing you're going to notice when you go to their website is you're going to click that button there, Start a Consult, and it's going to ask you some questions so that your situation can be evaluated by a licensed medical professional. And it's going to want to know things like, do you have any allergies, or have you had any allergies to any antibiotics in the past? And there's some other information on here that you might want to check out about why it's good to stock up on antibiotics prior to one of those situations there, right? Like I said, during the pandemic, it was actually hard to get medical appointments for many people. I know here in my community, over 950 medical professionals were laid off in the early stages of the pandemic. I know that sounds crazy. Why would you lay off medical professionals at the start of a pandemic? But there you go, it happened. And I know people who were dealing with some serious issues that had very difficult times getting appointments. So this is something like, antibiotics can be a lifesaver, right? So this is something that comes up a lot in the prepper community, in the discussion on the forums, and it is something to be thinking about. So I'm going to show you here in a second what you get when you order one of their Jase cases. So bear with me just a second. But I wanted you to see that this is a legit medical site. You're going to do a telehealth consult with a medical professional, and then if you're approved for your antibiotics, which most people will be, unless you didn't fill it out right, or there's a good reason not to do it, and it's going to be shipped through a pharmacy. All right, so I am actually going to recommend that if you're going to do this, go for this Jase case. The Jase case, I'm going to show you what's inside here in just a second, is going to have 5 different antibiotics and a little antibiotic book, a little medical book here, antibiotic guide, that's going to tell you exactly what kind of situations you would use each of these for, because different antibiotics serve different purposes, right? So you might need the Z-Pak, or you might need ciprofloxacin. Sorry if I butcher these names, right? So each one is a little bit different. This tells you when you would use one of these, right? And what the dosage and for how long. Okay, so this is why this is like your multi-purpose. This is going to give you a lot of different options. Now, what do we know? So we got the Z-Pak, and we've got 4 other different types of antibiotics here. So 5 total. Okay. So what do we know about what they've sent here in this particular package? Well, number one, they chose these 5 for their longevity. They have a very long shelf life, and also for multi-purposes, going to hit on most of the common things that would require you to take antibiotics, right? So preppers, what do? We think ahead, right? We think ahead, we plan ahead, we prep ahead, and our primary purpose is to be ahead of the disaster, ahead of the emergency, so that we're not the person in that line of 100 people waiting to get into urgent care when they're short on doctors because there's a pandemic going on, or because everybody left out of town for a hurricane, or worse. We sometimes plan for worse situations than that, more long-term situations that can happen, right? So this is a nice option to have, and I know because I follow and I participate in many prepper forums on Facebook and on Reddit and some groups on Twitter. This is something that comes up a lot. What are we going to do about antibiotics if you can't get to the doctor, right? Or the doctors are closed or something like that? Well, the answer is you think ahead, as a prepper does, and you plan ahead, okay? Now, I know there's other solutions. I've participated in those discussions. This is the only, not the only, this is the one that I'm aware of that is a human antibiotics, gives you 5 different choices, easy to use. You just go online, you're going to fill out the application. There is a cost to this. I'm not going to put the cost in because it's going to change over time. It's just silly. I'll have to keep coming in and updating this every year or two. So you're going to have to check the website for that. But if the Jase case is too pricey for you, maybe you think about, well, I've used amoxicillin the most because of my sinus infections. There's just an example. That's not medical advice. You fill out, do your consult online with them, and then decide maybe you're just going to get one for now. Later on, when money's a little bit better for you, you get the Jase case, right? But I'm going to put in the description down below where you're going to go for this. It's an affiliate link, of course, so I do get a little commission. And I want to say thank you to Jase Medical for working with the prepper community on this, that this is something that has been a discussion point for quite a while. And to my knowledge, this is the only company that stepped up to address a need that was identified by the prepper community. It's going to be handled 100% legit. And some of those situations we talked about was storms that could cause, lockdown, pandemics, traveling. Maybe you're traveling abroad. Maybe you do like I do, and you like to solo hike. There's things like that, right? All kinds of different reasons why a person would want to and should be able to get access to emergency antibiotics to store for emergencies, right? So it's handled by a licensed medical professional and shipped out by a licensed pharmacy, okay, in the United States. So you're dealing, everything is on the up and up, nothing, no shady black market medications or anything like that. Wouldn't recommend any of that stuff anyways. You wouldn't hear me talk about that on my channel. But anyways, this is Jase Medical. I really appreciate Jase Medical for working with the prepper community. Please go ahead and check out their website through my affiliate link in the description. And consider adding emergency antibiotics to your preps. I think it's a fantastic prep to have. I'm very happy that I had these. I had some other stuff in storage, but it was starting to get, a little bit old. So now I'm covered again for a little while. And these, like I said, these 5 were selected for their longevity, right? So you can go on their website and they have a frequently asked questions. They'll speak to all of those issues. That's one of the questions that get asked, like how long will they last? Past expiration date, things like that, okay? And these 5 antibiotics were chosen for that purpose. This group here, Jase Medical, understands the prepper community very, very well. Very, very pleased to be working with them. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, but keep in mind that if it's a specific medical question, I can't answer that on YouTube. Even though I work in the healthcare profession, that's kind of stepping outside the bounds of what YouTube will allow me to do. But Jase Medical might be able to answer that, especially in their frequently asked questions. Or if you go into the consult, I think there's, when I did mine, I think there was an opportunity to ask questions or put in any other comments, okay? That's it for today. You'll probably hear me talk about Jase Medical in some other videos as well. If you go ahead and order from them, expect that it takes a couple days to deliver. This is something you want to prepare in advance. This is emergency antibiotics, not like when I needed them yesterday. Okay, so this is something you want to have before you get to that situation where you need them. All right, so if you have any other questions, please drop them in the comments down below. Just let me know you were here. Let me drop a comment down below so I know you were here. I like to check out other people's channels, especially other preppers in my niche. Keep planting your seeds, keep stacking your silver. This is Prepping with Sarge.